Good morning, people of Cameroon Wahala. Yesterday, Sunday, for our traditional Sunday debate on most media TV, both in the English-speaking region of Cameroon and in the French region, most CPDM pundits, people who supported directly or indirectly the candidacy of Paul Biya during the last election, were almost regretting. Amongst them, we cited 3 people that we are going to diagnose in this edition, questioning ourselves, why is it that Professor Kamto has been used as a figure to breed hate and to rather prefer Paul Biya to somebody who is genuinely proposing an alternative? Some people cast it on tribal line. Some says it's because he worked with this regime, and others simply say he is not very open. And so in this edition, we shall be questioning ourselves, especially when it comes to Anglophone elites, or better still, what would be our reaction for upcoming local election? Who really betrayed Kamto? Anglophone elites at the crossroads, or it is his own personal strategy that finally landed him into a position of ignorance. Before I say one word about politics tonight, I want to say something to you. The men and women who keep this channel alive, some of you have watched Cameroon Wahala since the very first upload, when it was just me, one camera, and a story nobody else wanted to touch. You are now 45, you are now maybe 46, 47, in short, ages have added. You remember an old time of Ninjon Fundi. You have equally transcended other government, maybe the time of Aijo. You remember the single party, yes. You know when someone is lying to you because you have lived through enough liars to recognize the pattern before the sentence is even finished. Every strip we put on this channel goes through what we call thorough source checking before it reaches you. So, not because we owe it to any person, but because we owe it to you. You didn't ask us to entertain you. You asked us to tell you the truth, even when the truth is inconvenient for people we respect. Tonight, it is inconvenient for several people at once. If this work matters to you, please hit the bell, subscribe, and consider the membership tithe. Not for us, but so this channel, this kind of reporting, keep existing when the easier ones, the safer content, we pay better. Now, let's get into it. Let's go back before October the 12th, 2025. The state, the CPDM apparatus, had one real fear going into the election. Maurice Kamto. Not Shiruma, not Kabralibi, but Kamto. And the machinery to blunt Kamto momentum needed local operators, people who already carry grievances against him. The first on the line today is Nkou Mvondo. He participated at the 2023 convention of MRC. He was given the floor. He landed promises before changing his mind. What transpired? Here is what the record shows. And here is what we are told by people close to the party internal fractures. Instead of using his standing to reinforce the one opposition figure with a nationwide cross-linguistic base, Nkou Mvondo appeared to have redirected, transacted, in the words some of his own former allies used, his party Univer, to Akere Muna. From the Anglophone perspective that they wanted to sell the narrative, it wasn't a bad thing. But the fact that money transpired already betrayed the very essence for which they were lobbying to serve noble people that we are. Why does that matter? Because Akere Muna was never a neutral partner in this. He has carried an open grievance against Kamto since 2018 over the way post-election contestation play out and over who controlled the narrative of that resistance. That is not ancient history to him. Feeding the grudge at the exact moment the state needed the opposition divided is not a coincidence you can wave away with political realignment. It is a pattern, and that pattern in this country are rarely accidental. We are not telling you Nkou Mvondo signed a check from Itudi. We are telling you the effects of his choice was identical to what a paid operative would have produced. And in politics, effects matters as much as intent and intentions. Then there is Elimbi Lobé. Long before the ballots were cast, Elimbi Lobé built an entire media posture around one message: Kamto was not the man of the situation. Fine. That is a legitimate political opinion. And this channel has never demanded uncritical loyalty to any single figure, Kamto included. But here is the problem. An anti-campaign is not a campaign. If you spend months telling the Cameroonian public that the leading opposition figure is unfit, you owe the public a name, a structure, a plan. Elimbi Lobé of unknown. He tore down without building. And now, months later, he has repositioned himself as the man hunting down the CPDM allied voices, who dared proclaim a 92-year-old president, the winner of an election that left bodies in the streets. You see the wish plaster. Yesterday, he was undermining the opposition struggle cards. Today, he wants credit for standing against the regime. You cannot inherit moral authority. You spend an entire campaign spending down. And the third person on our script today is Armand Okol, who today works alongside Ernest Obama at Actualité 1. Okol is a strong militant communication officer of Cameroon Libi party, and Cameroon Libi was one of the contestants for the 2025 polls, but acknowledged Bia's victory even when nobody have asked him. He contradicted his immediate statement after election, 3 weeks after, when he recognized through a written and signed letter that Mr. Bia Paul had won. Okol is now positioning himself against the CPDM circle. He says they imposed Paul Biya on the country for an 8th term, a president who, as we speak, is 57 days into a stay with family, with no published return calendar. Fair criticism as far as it goes. We have covered Biya's extended absences on this channel long before it became fashionable to mention them. But watch the sequencing. Okol built Impact FM. Ernest Obama and his circle built their own platform in the exact window after the election. Nobody on that site wants to answer on camera in plain terms where the capital came from and why the timing lines up so nearly with a disputed vote. You cannot spend a segment accusing the CPDM inner circle of protecting power through silence while refusing the same transparency about your own post-election finances. Accountability that only points outward is not accountability, it is theater. Here is where I need you specifically to learn in. After the 2018 elections, Kamto contestation was met with mass arrests, exile threats, and years of legal harassment. An Anglophone elite, by and large, kept a visible distance. Compare that to the energy, genuine, understandable energy, mobilized around Chiroma's post-2025 ordeal. 9 months now between Nigeria and Gambia, a man still unable to come home. I am not asking you to abandon sympathy for Chiroma's exile. I am asking you a harder question. Why did the same solidarity not exist in 2018? Why does proximity to power or proximity to a preferred ethnic or regional lane decide who gets the Anglophone community full-throated support? As local election approaches, slogans will not rebuild Anglophone leverage. Affiliation bases will not either. Right now, the only machinery with a genuine discipline, nationwide footprint, capable of turning sympathy into actual seats is the MRC structure. That is not blind loyalty on my part. That is an honest rate of who has the organizational depth to convey grievances into governance. The Anglophone community can keep choosing symbolism, or it can start choosing the infrastructure, only one of those who wins elections. We have covered a lot of ground tonight. Nkou Mvondo's quiet transfer to Akere Muna, Elimbi Lobé contradiction, Armand Okol selective accountability, and the uncomfortable mirror we are holding up to Anglophone political strategy. None of this is comfortable. We know some of you will disagree, and you are welcome to tell us why in the comment section. We read them all, and we do answer sometimes. But comfort was never the promise of this channel. Accuracy was. If tonight's editorial gave you something you couldn't get from state television or from the safer commentators, that is the reason to subscribe, to share this with someone who still needs convincing, and to consider the membership option that keeps this kind of research possible. Acting on what you now know, sharing it, discussing it at home, bringing it into the conversation that shape how your community votes is how this information become power instead of just noise. Until next time, this has been Cyrille le Maire for Cameroon Wahala. Information without filter. Bye-bye.